Was there a concerted campaign led by the White House to bring more voter fraud cases? And to what extent did it factor into the firings, and to what extent could that be seen as partisan?
No, I'm not aware of any concentrated effort by the White House to promote a voter fraud prosecution campaign. There were concerns raised by Mr. Rowe, for example, raised with me concerns about voter fraud prosecutions in 3 jurisdictions. But we have to remember, voter fraud is a bad thing. It's against the law. We have an obligation to pursue it where it exists. Now, in my judgment, it needs to be done in a way that doesn't chill or discourage voter participation on election day, and we have guidance with respect to that. But again, voter fraud is stealing. It is stealing votes. It's canceling out legitimate votes. It's against the law, and we have an obligation to pursue it. And like we pursue other crimes, we did so in this case.
Hi, this is Josh Marshall from TPM Media. It's Tuesday, May 15th, 2007. That was Attorney General Alberto Gonzales just a few moments ago in a speech at the National Press Club, and there he was getting a question about vote fraud. Now, you know that Deputy Attorney General Paul McNulty resigned yesterday. We're going to have more on that today and in the coming days. But right now we want to come back to this question of vote fraud. So here we have Alberto Gonzales, a liar, probably guilty of helping to obstruct justice in a number of the attorney firings. But let's zoom in here on the question of vote fraud, because it's really central to the whole U.S. Attorney purge story. No one is denying that vote fraud is wrong, that it's illegal, but the question here is not whether vote fraud is something you shouldn't do. This wasn't about vote fraud, what the White House and Alberto Gonzales of the Justice Department were trying to do. It was trying to use fake accusations of vote fraud to suppress voter turnout, specifically voter turnout among African Americans and Latinos. Now, along those lines, we want to show you a clip from Fox News yesterday afternoon that talks about vote fraud, and tell us if you can see any patterns in this segment. Take a look.
So what if the South Carolina GOP decided to select January 26th as its primary date, 3 days ahead of the new Florida date? Well, that could have the New Hampshire primary moving to January 15th, because officials there say it must be at least 7 days before any similar contest. That would cause Iowa to move to January 7th, because Iowa law says it's ahead of any other presidential contest by 8 days. If South Carolina moved back any earlier, the contest calendar would begin in late 2007. And if that's not enough, the South Carolina GOP must also deal with the possibility of double voting. The South Carolina Democratic Party primary is set for January 29th. It's likely the two parties will have contests on separate days, and in an open registration state, that means there's an opportunity, although an illegal one, for a South Carolinian to attempt to vote in both primaries.
Now, the two Palmetto State parties are working together to try and coordinate things, so whichever goes first, a list of the voters there would be passed off to the other.
So as you can see in that clip, only African Americans shown in the segment, and apparently voting fraud is only a problem for the Republican Party, a problem the Republican Party faces from black voters. Now, this is all part of a pattern. So remember, what this is about, it is suppressing vote turnout, suppressing voting turnout among minorities. Just a few days ago, we saw another case of a robocall campaign, a robocall going out to voters in Camden, New Jersey, impersonating the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey, again, trying to suppress voter turnout by threatening jail time for anybody who sold their vote. We'll talk more about how this works. We're also going to talk about a campaign during last year's election telling people they could be sent to prison in Missouri if they voted at the wrong precinct. We'll have a lot more of that soon. I'm going to take a break, and I'll have a little bit more about Alberto Gonzales. Hi, we're back. You know, Alberto Gonzales went up to the Hill last Thursday and testified before the House Judiciary Committee. Here's a segment that was our favorite. Not a lot of people saw it. Take a look.
What do you think is the public's greatest misperception of the Department of Justice at this time, given all the circumstances that have occurred here?
Well, given some of the statements that have been made, the notion that that the department has been politicized. As I indicated in response to an earlier question, there are only hundreds or a few hundreds of political appointees. There are tens of thousands of career individuals. The department is great because of the career individuals. They deserve all the credit for the success of the department. And it would be pretty darn difficult, if not impossible, to make a decision for political reasons and expect to get away with it. If in fact someone, if a career investigator or prosecutors felt that that we were making decisions for political reasons to interfere with a case, you'd probably hear about it. We'd probably read about it in the papers, because they take this stuff very seriously, as they should. We expect them to. And again, just want to emphasize to the American public that the work of the department continues, irrespective of who the Attorney General is, the United States Attorney is. It continues because of the great career people in the department.
Well, Judge Gonzales, let me just thank you for your service to this country and the cause of human freedom. And with that, I'd like to defer here the rest of my time to Steve King.
This is Josh Marshall from TPM Media, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.